this video, he presents diagrams and what he believes is evidence that my real name is David Jallah, and I'm actually a tier 1 offender on the registry for raping a woman while I was in college. But as he starts his theory, it became perfectly clear that the person he's talking about, it's not me, and is very easily refutable.
You know what else is a pretty easy rebuttal, Flakko, is that I never said this is evidence. I never said this is facts that I'm presenting. All I said was this is a fan theory that, comes from the information that has been put out by you and the platforms that you associate with. With that information, I put together a flowchart to try to make sense of what is your actual age, something that is still in question as recently as last week. Remo brought up David Jallah again, okay? I simply had an idea sparked by you crashing out on 1090 Jake, having at one point looked into the David Jallah case, and also looking into you as a whole, as to that whole arc of No Jumper that revolved around who is Poetik Flakko, really. That's the thumbnails that No Jumper was running. All I did was revisit a topic that's already in the public forum. It is of public interest. All I did was speculate. I asked questions. I didn't make statements. I asked questions, and I even gave some bail here and there of attempts of debunking my own theory. Okay, in both cases that you mentioned in your video right here that we're about to get into, I made some type of attempt to debunk my own theory or say, hey, I don't know if my theory holds up because of X, Y, and Z. So, that's all it is. It's my theories. As a fan of the show, of a very popular show that is on a platform with nearly 5 million subscribers. That's all. But anyways, let's get into, what Flakko has to say.
But he starts off his video knowing he's lying when he says, in my opinion, my theory is. So he's doing this thing that people do that think that protects them from defamation. It doesn't, okay? If you think that you could say, in my opinion, I have a theory. My theory is that Poetik Flakko is a tier 1 offender who raped a woman in college. If you think that you can say, in my opinion, followed up by the most heinous defamation accusation ever, and then proceed in a 30-minute video giving evidence why you believe I'm a tier 1 offender, and if you think that, in my opinion, or I have a theory is going to protect you, then you should probably do more research on defamation, okay, buddy?
Before we get into the next little part here, I asked questions regarding what is the age gap between Poetik Flakko and the David Jallah person. If that is your stepbrother, what is the age gap? I asked that question because based off of the timeline that was received from Poetik Flakko himself on that phone call with Lush One, Flakko said he was 2 to 3 years old when he arrived in America. The paperwork said that David Jallah was 9 years old. So all I did was 9 minus 2 equals 7, and 9 minus 3 equals 6. That's 7 years of age gap, 6 years of age gap. Flakko hopped on this same video, the same 16-minute video, and said that they have a 5-year age gap. So, how do we trust your word?
Let me ask you some questions. Okay. So, you're born in Liberia, correct?
Yeah.
And how old were you when you moved to the United States?
Bro, I forgot. Probably like 2 or 3.
Okay.
Around them.
So you were a baby.
The full document actually highlights that David Jallah was 9 years old in 2002. That would mean he would be 32 years old in 2025. 5 years older than me. We couldn't possibly be the same person. I feel like people assume, oh, he's a YouTuber.
Yeah.
He makes some money, right?
Yeah.
But just off my YouTube income, that's almost 6 figures a month.
Right.
Off the other shit, that's also 6 figures a month, right?
Right.
So if I'm a 27-year-old damn near millionaire.
Your own boss doesn't trust your word. There's video proof of him saying he doesn't trust your word as of lately. As well as, opening up a whole investigation within the workplace publicly on a live stream. It's kind of an indicator that the people that pay you to to have some type of journalistic integrity, don't trust anything you say. Let's not even get into all the many clips that we could pull from the last 6 months of Josh, one of your other higher ups, not trusting your words. Anyways.
The reason why I'm pursuing litigation and I'm not just chalking this up to he made a mistake, because this has been a consistent history, apparently. I discovered this dude yesterday, and somebody put me on to another accusation he made about me. So in this case, he's claiming that my name is David Jallah, and I'm a tier 1 sex offender, and I raped a woman before, right? But then in another video, he gives me another name. He tells people that I was arrested by the feds at some point for domestic terrorism. I was arrested by ICE. I was scheduled for deportation. Listen, bro. I'm putting every resource possible, bro, into making sure you are held accountable. I think he's doing these things because he thinks he's anonymous, which I don't know why he thinks he's anonymous. Bro, you're not anonymous. And the only reason why I'm not even saying your name in this video because I don't want to dox you, right? Like, no, I'm not you.
Frederick, I never doxed you. All I did was say names that are already in the public forum. That these are all things that are available online publicly. If you actually know my full government name, that would mean that you had to go out of your way to acquire said name. Unless, people are like, oh, I think this is somebody that I know, but that means you wouldn't know for a fact. To be able to dox somebody, you have to be able to put out information, factual information that this is this person's name, this is where they reside, blah, blah, blah. You say you have you implied that you have the power to dox me, like you've done to people in your past, allegedly. Yet you would literally have to go out of your way to get that information. I didn't go that much out of my way, not as much as it would be to look up, so-called anonymous sources' information to be able to get their name. All right, so I'm going to read the first paragraph here, and maybe a little more. But for those of you that might be driving or, cutting your grass or whatever household chores and stuff like that you might be doing, those that may not have their eyes on the screen, I'll read this out loud to the class. Also, and by the way, this is from nybar.org, okay? Also, if your reputation is already damaged by your own previous actions, for example, if you have a public history of crime and someone accuses you of a crime you did not commit, you cannot argue that you were defamed because your character was already compromised. All right, so right here, the very first name listed in this paperwork that was put up in a video of me clearing up a mistake, which we'll get to that in a second, of Poetik Flakko addressing the mistake that I owned up to. As soon as it became, as soon as I became aware of the mistake, I said, I've made a mistake. This is incorrect. And I clarified in a new video, which is what this paperwork was posted in. It was in that new video clarifying. Of course, Poetik Flakko conveniently left this whole part of the storyline out. This is important that I held myself accountable and said, oh, I accidentally ran with the wrong paperwork in a video, but what's that name at the top right there? Menyengo Tokba is listed in this. Now, check this out, though. Look what else is listed here. A list of alleged crimes. So, you're a public figure that is publicly being accused of crimes of the nature of cyber stalking, cyber harassment, and so on and so forth. You guys can read the bottom here. And this was with a group of people, with a list of associates. That you're the first name on there, though. So let's get into that clip now of Poetik Flakko mentioning the video where I mistakenly posted the wrong paperwork and said, according to this paperwork, this is what this paperwork says was done. Okay? It was an honest mistake. I was honest about it. I owned up to it. I did not intentionally mislead. As soon as I found out that information was not true as far as his name was not the name on that paperwork, I quickly made a video and said, hey, I'm sorry, my audience, this is embarrassing. However, I don't want to push lies knowingly. I'm not like some of these other creators. I don't want to lie on purpose. I hate liars. I hate lying. Okay? I've never even stolen a bag of chips from a store in my life because that is a form of lying.
You're done.
Now my theory is that Frederick Jallah and David Jallah are the same people.
David Jallah is actually a relative of mine who's about 5 or 6 years older than me. But I guess the story that a relative of mine did something nasty and disgusting that no man can ever co-sign, and I disavow it. I guess that story ain't juicy enough. So now this weirdo is created a fabricated lie that actually I'm David Jallah and I've been concealing my identity the entire time.
Maybe go into a dorm room of somebody that you've talked to once or twice and drop anchor, drop your Chinese food on the floor and drop anchor and start forcefully filling on somebody and ramming their head towards your crotch. That's what David Jallah did.
Pay attention to how this dweeb thinks he's slick. He only shows one page of the document because he doesn't want to show the other pages, because the other pages will debunk him trying to persuade his audience that I'm David Jallah.
All right, let's count real slow because shout out to Rich Trapper. Apparently numbers are hard for this guy as well. We know he can't really see, according to his words, not mine, but 1, 2, this is page 2 right here. Hold on, let's go real slow. 3, okay, let that breathe. And dun 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 dun. 4. That's 4 pages, not 1. What are we talking about here?
Him trying to persuade his audience that I'm a registered tier 1 offender.
That's also very, very false. The premise of the video is that David Jallah is on paperwork, and since you are so mysterious about, your history, about when you came here, how old were you, it was very awkward and strange how you were acting on the phone call with Lush, which led people to look into it further. People have been looking into it ever since that live stream, since before then, but even after then. Just because you did that live stream, it doesn't mean that everything was cleared up. I simply had questions. I wanted to know. I was actually hoping that Remo would just, see the video and maybe ask you a few clarifying questions, such as the age gap between you and David Jallah, which you kind of covered here. And then I also asked, what was your college major? I just wanted to know so that we can see if your story lines up with being the stepbrother of David Jallah or not. It's fan theory. This is one of the biggest mysteries in the history of podcasts. And it's all because of how you decide to go about it. You could have came out and dropped this mugshot of David Jallah allegedly in this that's gonna come up right now. You could have dropped this mugshot that's coming up 2 years ago, or even when Remo was grilling, you could have dropped this mugshot and all of this would be avoided. Or on top of that, you put out a college yearbook or a high school yearbook, whichever one. Well, college doesn't have yearbooks, right? You put out a high school yearbook, whatever it was. You put out a 2016 yearbook to show that you weren't done with your K through 12 in 2012 or 2011, which the video was questioning. When did you actually graduate high school? Because you have people in your face pointing out how old you look. Okay, the simple set of questioning based off of the information that is online. This is all alleged. I've said it. You can't just be like, no, those words don't mean shit because I don't want them to mean nothing because I want to sue this guy. And second of all, on a side note, sue me for what? I don't got shit for you, Jallah. There ain't nothing you can get from me. At the end of the video, I'll make a proposition to you though. If you want to embarrass me so badly, I'll give you a fair opportunity to do so. If you're man enough to accept my offer, we'll see.
Trying to persuade his audience that I grape a woman in 2014 in college while I was still in high school. Because if you look at the full document actually quickly debunks everything he's saying.
That's not the full document. The full document is 32 pages of legal doctrine. I showed more of the full document than, the person that's calling me a dweeb.
The full document actually highlights that David Jallah was 9 years old in 2002.
Which is what we based the counting backwards and or forward, depending on which part of the video we're on, off of. We based it off of the black and white because it's already been established by your employer, by No Jumper, and by its associated fans on their public forums like Reddit, and in Instagram comments, and in Twitter comments, and in YouTube comments, both on your personal page and on their page, that you are a well-documented liar. Nobody that's around you trusts your word, and we have videos to back that up of people calling you out for lying. So we can't go off of your time of arrival. We have to go off of the so-called relative or stepbrother. We have to go off of his time of arrival to the U.S. Because if you're telling us you arrived in the U.S. a certain year, we have to take that with a grain of salt because you choose to publicly hop online and lie on people all of the time. You infamously, the Lyndon Honor, I'm not too familiar with his work or anything like that, but I'm familiar with the controversy that you two had. You were out here posting pictures of the man with his family, doing all types of wild shit, and saying, oh, this dude, he's looking for gay sex on Craigslist at the time, and you've been caught up in different YouTube videos and people calling you out for having doctored documents and messaging people yourself and hunting through these gay dating profiles yourself to make a man who is believed to be straight and has a wife and kids. You try to tear apart that man's family with lies. So from the inception of your YouTube career, you've been lying and bullying people. That's what the good guys, that whole document from the Louisiana lawsuit, or the allegations that came on about you, if they stuck or not, you were accused of this by people in the same YouTube sector as you. You understand? So I reported on the fact that people have accused you of doing these cyber things, which you even acknowledged in this video with your red hoodie and Yankees fitted cap.
That would mean he would be 32 years old in 2025, 5 years older than me. We couldn't possibly be the same person. But it gets deeper than that. If you look at the full document, you will see the case number and you will see other identifying information that would allow you to locate the mugshot to see exactly if David Jallah is me or if it's somebody else. And this is where their entire lie goes to the dump. The entire video gets thrown out because the mugshot is publicly available. We could all see who David Jallah is. This is David Jallah. This is who he says that I am. This is the case that he's talking about. Gross sexual imposition. Victim was a blank female. This is who he says I am. Now, this information is one of the easiest things to locate, but he only showed one page of the indictment, one page of the document.
Again, we already showed how I actually showed, more than one page of the document and how Flakko photoshopped some weird split screen version of the document to actually only show one page with 3 lines of the document. But that aside, this mugshot has not been easy to find. This website is sketchy. You have to give them an email address and I think a phone number or something to be able to receive the results. It's like, it's kind of sketch. It's not the type of site that's super easy to use as Flakko is claiming. When you actually Google, how to find somebody's mugshots, the Googleable information that pops up tells you that it varies from state to state. How each state holds mugshots is different. Some hold previous mugshots, up to a certain amount of time. Some do not. And whatever other variations there are. From what I typed into Google, that's what I got back was that it varies from state to state. So when I went and typed in Ohio mugshots or whatever, like how to find that, and ended up on a government website for Ohio, it looked like out of the options for me to pick from on the little mix of drop down boxes and type in the information menu items, that in Ohio, the way you can request to view someone's mugshot is that they have to be currently incarcerated to do so. And the incarceration and the time served on this David Jallah, that's been long gone in the past. It's been happened since before Flakko was on No Jumper. So finding the mugshot is not necessarily easy, at least from a credible site that is, actually ran by the local police jurisdiction. Okay, that's very important because this is yet another white lie or whatever, a little tall tale that he's telling right here. It's not super easy. And again, we'll put on our critical thinking hats real quick. If it was so easy to find the mugshot, don't you think everybody at No Jumper would have already found the mugshot? And I'll take it a step further. The No Jumper Reddit is damn near, private investigators themselves. Don't you think that after 2 years and some change, that David Jallah's mugshot would have surfaced on there one way or another to clear Flakko's name of this, this rumor? You finally clear your name. At the end of the day, I feel like Flakko did understand the premise of the video. He's just mad that he's being called out on this, just like he was mad that they even mentioned 1090 Jake in his presence. How dare they mention one of the most popular YouTubers in this space ever, but you're doing a whole 16 minutes getting off your regularly scheduled programming to talk about little old me? Because I asked you to prove, you are who you say you are. I asked that in a video. I said, "Can you prove that you are who you say you are?" That's one of the questions. Essentially, I just want to know. I just want to know, what is the age gap between you and David Jallah? I want to hear it out of your mouth so we can see if that lines up with what we see in the court papers for David Jallah. I never definitively said Poetik Flakko is David Jallah. The thumbnail, like every thumbnail for the videos that he brought up, and even some of the ones that he didn't bring up, anytime I discuss anything of this nature in regards to Poetik Flakko, those thumbnails have a question mark. Just like if you go back and look earlier in the video, anytime No Jumper brings this up, there's a question mark. You know why? Because the thumbnail is the first piece of content that you see as the viewer. So if we're misleading the audience, it would just be an exclamation mark or a period. If I didn't put it in the thumbnail, I put it in the title. But regardless, either way, the packaging, that front page stuff, has a question mark in it somewhere. So the audience member knows I'm clicking on this because I think this question is fascinating to me. I know I may not get definitive answers because every single video that this guy Just Clips posts has a disclaimer that says, these are just my opinions. These opinions do not make it a fact.
Because he didn't want people to see the truth. This is one of the clearest cases of defamation I think anyone has ever had, bruh. I'ma really serve this boy, bruh. Yo, sir, I'm not sure if you thought this was a good idea, if you thought you was gonna just lie and we won't be able to figure it out. We won't be able to kind of declutter your web of lies so easily. Sir, you are a horrible liar.
If I was a liar, I probably would be a horrible liar because I'm not a liar. There's no web of lies on my end to detangle. You're in the thumbnail with the web of lies behind you because that's one of the things that you are known for. You're known for lying. This is public record at this point. This is a matter of public interest. The public is interested in unraveling your lies. So I just explored one of the more popular ones. I didn't say for a fact that you're lying about your age. I didn't say for a fact that you are lying about your name. I asked, hey, audience, if you guys know how to, see if somebody changed their name legally, let me know in the comments. The video that caused all this ruckus literally has a question in it asking the audience, what do y'all think? I'm playing the middle. I'm just presenting the theory. I'm not definitively saying this for sure is, I'm not saying this for sure. Dude on No Jumper is David Jallah, and he's going by the name of Frederick Jallah instead. I'm saying, hey, this is why I have these questions about him. And reason 1, 2, and 3 in video 1, 2, and 3 is why I have questions about Poetik Flakko's honesty. Your honesty is what's in question here, not somebody pointing the finger and saying you did that crime in Ohio. Nobody's sitting there saying you are David Jallah. You factually got your name changed, or even when I explored the theory that you unpromptedly presented on the No Jumper News, all on yourself. You're a big boy. You didn't have to ask everybody, let's play a game. Frederick Sala, let's play a freaking game. If you guys, we're on the run from the feds, how would you get away? And then let the room answer. Then you say what you said, which led me to ask the question, you were able to rattle it off a little too well in knowing the prices. That's a little strange for how to get fake documents with, fake birth certificate. You went down a list of things. You went down a list of things on a live stream that was recorded and reacted to. That's not saying that you factually went and did it. I'm just asking, did you do that before? You sound like you know what you're doing there. That's like if I hop on and say, no, I don't be cooking, but then I explain to you perfectly how to fry some chicken. People are gonna be like, oh, are you sure you don't fry chicken? And I can't sue them for asking me if I'm sure I don't fry chicken. I can just clarify that yeah, I know the steps, but I've never actually went in the kitchen and tried to fry some damn chicken. I got people that do that for me, or I buy it from outside. I don't got time to fry no chicken. And then that's that. Nobody's gonna be looking at you weird.
Oh, I'm gonna cook you, man. And you have this much hatred in your heart for a man who you never met, never interacted with, who didn't know you exist before yesterday. You got this much hatred in your heart for this man that you will lie and put these allegations on him?
Well, honestly, audience, ladies and gents, I think we get the point. Right? But I have some closing statements to make. One, to cover that little tidbit right there. Flakko, have you ever met Jay-Z? Have you ever met Lil Durk? Have you ever met those people, the live streamers that had the shootout on the Vegas Strip that you ran to your computer to cover? Not saying that you lied on any of those people that I just asked about, but have you ever met them? Or is the game the game? You decide to cover a pretty sleazy, like you're damn near a grave robber, Flakko. Your rise to success. Did you ever meet Young Dolph? But did you meet anybody from his camp before he passed away? R.I.P. to Young Dolph. Did you ever meet anyone from his camp before he passed away? Did you know Young Dolph? Did you have any type of friendship with him or beef with him? Or were you playing the grave robber game of, as soon as somebody passes away, I'm gonna make a YouTube video about it, and then eventually jokingly rap about it while dissing Brandon Buckingham? Yeah. So, anyways, I said I have a proposition for you, Flakko, and here's my offer, man. Because just by reacting to some of what you said, it's all very easy to rebuttal. Not to be that cocky son of a gun, but honestly, bro, I don't even know if I would need to hire a lawyer to fight this. Like, I think I can represent myself and make valid counterpoints based off of the definition of words. Shit, I might have Rich Trapper defend me in court. Fuck it. Words are hard, but not for certain people. He's a pretty good rapper, actually. He's pretty good with his vocabulary. We both got lisp. Anyways, jokes aside, Flacco, I never definitively said that you are David. It's literally a question mark. It's a question above the flowchart. It says Freaky Fred or David. So if you really got your panties that much in the bunch that you want to be a full blown Karen, like Brandon just called you out for being, then I mean I guess you have the right to be a Karen. However, I have this proposition that I offered you a few videos ago. It's titled Boxing Bison. So no jumper, Adam went and talked about how they're really trying to shop for Extra as a boxer. You know, he's gonna be the main event. That's the ticket seller, especially depending on who he gets matched up with for a professional bout. You know, as a man of morals and principles, in Flacco, we're more similar than you may think. I'm not, you know, an immigrant from anywhere. I was born here, but as far as our mentality, we're more similar than you may think. I don't perpetuate street violence. I also don't perpetuate Karen behavior though, so that's where we're a little different. But I would love to put on the gloves with you. You know, sign contracts, sign waivers, put on some gloves, headgear if you want, or no headgear, whatever, and we can, you know, train just like they do for a big fight, for a WBC belt type of process. You know, train for a few months, rent out a cabin in Big Bear, and get used to the altitude, or however you want to go about it, and we can fight on the 4 extra undercard. I'm all for that. I've said this before. I will say it again. Shoot, is Whack in charge of that? Get Whack on the phone. We can orchestrate a Just Clips versus Poetik Flakko, you know, bout. Yeah. Handle it like a man. Handle it like a man. If you have such a problem with me asking these questions, if you're so mad at me for asking these questions, win, lose, or draw. But not in the streets. Not like a hooligan in the street. Like a civilized man that can step into the arena and regardless of the outcome, step out knowing that you stepped in as a man. You'll gain a lot of respect. And since you want to, you know, reveal my identity so much, Flacco, if you want the mask to be off, I'm not a luchador. I've never seen a boxer fight with a mask on. The Rey Mysterio vibes. That's not me. So we can do the face reveal at the boxing event without doing anything illegal like your past. This allows you to escape the sins of your past, of, you know, doxing people and trying to put wild allegations on people every chance you get, and all that stuff that you you know, you're remorseful for having done. This is a chance at redemption. You're like Rocky Balboa. You might be the people's champ if you can knock out the internet troll. You like going viral? Imagine being able to have a video of you knocking me out. If you can do it, if you got that in you. If you knock me out on camera, sanctioned, in front of a crowd of people, you know, sell it on pay-per-view or no jumper members only or whatever. I need a little bit of the split on that though, Adams. But just a little bit. Nothing egregious. I know I'm a much smaller platform. It's actually crazy that one of your so-called biggest stars is even getting into it with somebody of my low little you know, level. I'm under the sewer as far as numbers compared to Flacco, so why does he even have smoke with me to this degree? I don't know. But Flacco, save your money. You can spend half of that and get a diet and nutritionist that will also train you, and you can train for 3 to 6 months, and you know, we can settle it like men in the ring, and everybody gets paid, everybody gets a check, everybody's happy, and then we leave each other alone. Unless, you know, you might like watching my channel. You say I make these little cinematic universes in my head. I know you used to want to be a screenwriter. Now you want to be a lawyer. Whichever one you decide, man, much success to you. But, you know, if you want to end up reacting to some of my content down the road, be my guest. But these thinly veiled threats of, oh, I got your information and this and that, let's cut it out. Let's cut it out. Because at the end of the day, you know, just call Whack 100, Flacco, and have him set up the bout. I'll leave it at that. Now, I don't mean to drag Whack into it. I'm all for catching that fade, man. You got that Philly shell. You know what I mean? I got the Cali swag. It'll be a great bout. People would love to see it. We could all get a check out of it. But anyways, now I'm just being repetitive. I'll see y'all in the next one, allegedly. Thanks for watching.